What is the Upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We are on episode 73. Tyler Toffoli of my little hockey show, where once a week I go through all of the major news in the NHL, mostly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, who we're going to talk about today, but I can talk about any of the 32 teams in the NHL. And what do we have on tap today? Well, like I said, we're talking about the Flames, who are on freaking free fall right now. We got some New Jersey news, we got Carolina talk, Florida, and a legend has finally retired from the NHL. So let's dive into it. Let's get sad off the bat here. So we have a absolutely tragic story coming out of, I believe it's the England Hockey League, regardless. A tragic accident happened over there. Adam Johnson passes away after a freak accident on the ice that took place. So it was a very freak play. It was a terrible accident, but a play was going down, a player bumped into another player, his leg went up, and it caught Adam Johnson in the neck, and yeah, sadly he was not able to get saved from that injury, and he passed away there on the ice. So that's just, couldn't believe it, man. Honestly, that was, I mean, you know, the way that the sport is, I'm a little bit surprised like this hasn't happened more, but thankfully it hasn't. But this is probably the worst one that I've remembered. I remember watching the Richard Zegnick one. I was watching that game when that went down. That was horrible. There was the goaltender that got ran into, and that was horrible. I saw all that. I saw the video of Adam Johnson. It's out there. I wouldn't recommend watching it. I watched it just so I could see what was going on. It's probably one of the more violent, just nasty collisions that I've seen. It's so fast, it happens so fast, and that's the way of the game. But now, after that tragedy, obviously, you know, we're hoping for everybody involved. I mean, the fans that had to see it, hopefully they're okay. Hopefully the fans, the players, the teammates, everyone involved, everyone in that organization, hopefully they're doing okay. I mean, I can't imagine what they're probably going through after something like that. But now the big question is, do we need to start implementing the neck guards, mandating that as a thing that all the players should be wearing? And you know, that's not something that's going to happen overnight. They're going to have to talk a lot and vote and do all that stuff when it comes to the NHL. Now they can implement that hopefully as soon as possible into the juniors, the kids leagues and stuff like that. I would never want to hear anything like this happening in a minor league or anything like that. So I'm not into that. I don't have kids or anything, so I don't know what they're wearing or what the regulations and everything are with that. But hopefully they're implementing good safety precautions and stuff like that. I know they have some of the slash resistant like arm guards and shot blockers on your skates and stuff like that, but I think we really need to start considering putting the neck guards on. I think goaltenders still don't wear neck guards, which is insane to me. So that conversation is definitely going to start ramping up after such a horrible tragedy such as this that went down. And it wasn't even the only skate blade injury that happened. One of the Boston Bruins players, he almost lost his eye this week from a skate blade catching him just underneath his eyeballs. So, again, a very scary situation that was avoided just barely there in Boston. But sadly, Adam Johnson, not so lucky, and he passes away. So, best wishes to everyone out there. It's just absolutely terrible, and hopefully something like this never ever happens again. But it's such a crazy fast game. They're literally, you got at any given moment, you got 25, 24 pairs of razors out there on the ice, and that's not including referees and stuff. So these kind of things have happened and could happen in the future, but if they start implementing some things right now, I know the players in the NHL are going to be like, oh, I don't like to wear that. I didn't grow up wearing that. It's weird. It's going to make me play bad. But it's that, or, we're going to have something happen that, that we'll look back on at this time and be like, we could have done something here and, put a stop to it, and if something else happens after this, it's going to be, very, very upsetting and disappointing that we didn't take the proper measures. So I'm hoping that they are going to do something about that, because just absolutely terrible. And I mean, I really, really hate to do this, but speaking of terrible, the Calgary Flames, everybody. I mean, oh my good Lord, they're in free fall. That's it. I think the Flames are done. I'm already calling it done. Let's fucking tank. Let's sell off the assets. Let's get the hell out of this shit. So they had the Heritage Classic come up this weekend. It was on Sunday. I watched a little bit of it. It was pretty cool. Like, I watched the opening part where all the players came out and they were, marching towards the ice. It was a cool visual. I thought that was cool. The fireworks going on in the background. And just seeing them coming out in the daytime, I thought that was cool. It was a pretty nice looking day. They're in Edmonton. I think that's where they were. And, the game was not that awesome. I mean, McDavid was in there, thankfully, because that was the whole talk, like, what if McDavid's not there? It's going to be an absolute disaster. But, yeah, he was there. I saw an interview with McDavid, like, prior to the game, and it was just, like, it came off that he was trying so hard to be likable or relatable, because, I don't know, Connor McDavid just doesn't come off as a normal dude, and he's a little bit on his own planet. I mean, I don't know. He just doesn't really talk to people or just have conversations. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But just hearing him talking about, like, oh my God, there's snow on the ground. I can't believe that. I was like, what the hell? He just sounded so weird. It was just, it came off weird. But anyway, the game goes down. Calgary Flames lose again. So it was the battle of the shittiest teams in Canada, Edmonton versus Calgary. So Edmonton also having an absolute fucking nightmare of a beginning to their season, and maybe after this defeat of the Calgary Flames, they can get their shit back together. Maybe next week I'll be rambling about the Edmonton Oilers, but this week I'm dedicating some more time to the Calgary Flames. We're going to rant about them. So my big concern is that when you have two bad teams going at it with each other, and the question is, okay, which one of who's the worst one right here? And you'll probably get an answer, unless it's like an overtime. It's like, okay, maybe both of these teams kind of suck. But in this game, it looked like Edmonton dealt with Calgary. Like, no fucking problem. Dealt with Calgary in that game. And that makes me nervous, because all the talk around Edmonton, like, oh, they're playing so bad. They can't defend. They can't get a save. Yada, yada, yada. And then the Flames come in, get dusted by them, and that might have been the worst game that they played. That was fucking embarrassing. I mean, yeah, Kadri gets on the board, but yeesh, man, yeesh. So it's a really telling sign when one bad team goes up against the other and gets their fucking shit pushed in, like Calgary did. Now, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but they did not play good in that game. They weren't getting shots. They weren't getting any real opportunities going in that game. And the most alarming thing that I'm visually seeing in Calgary Flames games is that they are not playing as a team whatsoever, freaking ever, man. Not at all. Like, I don't think I'm seeing like any sort of eye contact, like guys looking at each other, talking, communicating. It's kind of like, all right, I need to do this. One man army. I'm going in, baby. And then the puck is stripped. It's going the other way, and it's in the back of the net. I might be focusing in a little bit here on Kadri, but Jesus, man, Kadri, he's never been one to shy away from showing his emotions on the ice, in interviews, anywhere, really. And that's one of the main reasons why I really like Kadri. Love Kadri. I think he's awesome. But, dude, like, the emotion on the ice right now, he looks like he's going to break down and cry in a minute, because it is going so bad in Calgary right now. And, everyone was pretty fucking excited when Calgary signed Kadri, myself included. I already knew that he wasn't going to be putting up 89, 90 points in Calgary, but I knew that he was going to be a good second line center. But now it's like, it was a big red flag when they signed him. He's like 31, 32 when they signed him. They signed him to a 7-year deal, coming off of the best year in his career in his 30s. I mean, he's had a long track record of never producing on that level before. So, there was a lot of red flags. We all knew that more than likely it wasn't going to go very well, but for it to start off this badly, I mean, last season was a very big drop-off for Kadri. Maybe a little bit more than I was expecting, even personally. I thought maybe he would go down to like 70-some-odd points, but he dropped down to like 60-something. So it was a pretty big, like, 25, 30-point drop-off for Kadri, and you could just see the frustration on him out there every single game and every single second, man. He just looks so frustrated, so angry, and it shows in his play, too. Like, when you're angry, you're blinded by rage. You're just not thinking clearly, and maybe that's what's going on right now in Calgary. Is there a lot of pressure on Calgary? I mean, you would have to think, right? Because you got the whole turnover of the organization. Coaches are gone. GM is gone. The players said they were going to be out of here unless the coach is gone. And now they seem like they're getting a lot of the players to stay, but again, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I like Backlund. I'm fine with Backlund. The Backlund contract's 2 years, lifelong Flame, give him the captaincy, fine with that. Now the Huberdeau deal. Jesus Christ. Where do we even start with this one here? It is arguably the worst contract in the NHL right now. It is really, really bad. He's at, $10.5 million or something, and in 9 games, he's got 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, and he's a -10. Now, I don't put too much into account into the plus-minus. I know a lot of people don't, but, being a -10, he is one of only, holy shit, there's a lot of minuses on this team. Well, Kadri is the team worst, -11. Dylan Dubé and Huberdeau are -10s. And yeah, so they're by far the worst minuses on the team. And Huberdeau, man, like, I thought he was doing good at the beginning, and it's really fallen off, man. Like, he looks like he is on pace again to be a 55, 60 point producer, and at $10 million, that's just absolutely not acceptable. Now, is this a problem of the team construction? Now, I look up and down this roster. Is there a bona fide goal scorer that Huberdeau is able to pass to? And I'm looking at this lineup, and I don't see anybody here that has... there's one player on the team that has 3 goals, and that is Mangiapane. He is the only one with 3 goals. Everybody else, 2 or less. So not a lot of goal scoring getting done right now in Calgary. And I would say right now the best goal scorer on the team is, in fact, Mangiapane. And that's not just because he has 3 goals and he has the most goals on the team, but I'm looking up and down this roster. I mean, Lindholm, he scored 40, yes, but I think that was a generation from his line. I mean, when you have Gaudreau and Tkachuk on your wings, he was the 3rd best player on that line. So there would be a little bit less attention on Lindholm when that line is out there. So he might have a little bit more free ice to take those shots. And now, without his partners on his wings, he's going to get focused in on, and it's showing. He dipped down huge last year in points. I thought he was going to bounce back. He started out excellent, and now he's gone pointless in, I think, 4 games now. So not acceptable, and this guy wants $10 million. Are you fucking crazy? No. And if Calgary gives him that, we're done. That's it. It's going to be probably 5 to 10 years of mediocrity, middle of the pack, maybe worse, and it's going to be awful. So what the hell can the Flames do? I mean, I think first things first, don't sign Lindholm. I think you have to trade him. You have to trade him now, or, I mean, not today, like now, because he's got a 4-game pointless streak, so you got to try and make him look a little bit better. If maybe you traded him off at the beginning when he had, a goal and 2 assists in the first game, he was looking really good. But now he's fallen off. It looks like the team has fallen off, and it seems like all the same problems from last year are bubbling to the surface yet again. So we know Sutter is a horrible locker room kind of coach. Like, he just brings dread to the players, but it looks like that dread is back again, and that's just because the team's not that good. So I don't know, man. Like, the forward group is pretty bad. Like, I still think their defensive core is pretty good, but I don't know, man. Like, they literally, they just don't have a finisher on this team. They have a lot of guys that were hoping would become finishers. I mean, I will say that Adam Ruzicka has been a bit of a surprise this year. He's been solid in 7 games. Now he's hurt. Michael Backlund has no goals in 9 games. I mean, you would really, really want to have a goal from your captain after. I'm not going to say that he necessarily made a stink about not being the captain, but he definitely made it known that he wanted to be the captain. They gave it to you, and 3 points in 9 games. That's what you're going to give us. I mean, we know that Michael Backlund isn't the biggest point producer, but when your team is struggling to this level and, you're not putting anything really on your back, you're shooting 0%. I mean, what the fuck? And, Dylan Dubé hasn't gotten the goals. Dewar has gotten a goal, but he's in the bottom 6. I mean, Kadri's gotten 1 goal. He got 1 goal. It took him 9 games to get 1 goal. He's got 2 points in 9 games and a -11. Just bad, man. Really, really bad. New guy, Yegor Sharangovich. I'm not going to put too much on him because he has to come to a whole new organization, and he finally scored his first goal. I've seen him they've had him in the lineup playing center. I don't know. Okay, I don't know why they're doing that, but apparently he's been playing center a little bit, which is interesting. Yeah, man. I mean, just from top to bottom, you're just not getting the production right now, and like 6 points in 9 games isn't bad from Lindholm. The problem is he got most of that in the first couple of games, so he hasn't done jack titties in the last 4 games. So what are they going to be able to do here? I mean, well, let's look at the defense. The thing that really sucks about the defense is that I thought Oliver Shillington was going to be back in the lineup this year, but he's still out. And I have no idea what's going on. It just has it listed as personal. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but he's been gone for a very long time. So, I hope it's got to be really, really bad. I mean, that's terrible, but I mean, damn, this team could maybe really use Shillington. Rasmus Anderson, before the suspension, was doing quite well. He had 3 points in 5 games, looking like he was going to be building on a pretty solid year that he had last season. Mackenzie Weegar, I mean, he's still, I think, trying to find it in Calgary. He had a pretty decent game, I think, at the Classic. He had a couple assists or whatever, but yeah, it just hasn't really been going that great with him either. Nikita Zadorov has been a good soundbite. He's been calling out the team in interviews, saying that they're just not good enough. They're playing like shit. And I mean, I agree. But, do you really need to be hearing that out of Zadorov? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I like to hear a player like that talking, like calling out his team, but is that like really what they need right now for the media necessarily to be jumping on them? I don't know. You got Tanev out there. He's a -6, no points, and he's going to be looking for a contract extension. Just, yeesh, man. I think and it's not even necessarily a bright spot, but one of the better things, even though his record is fucking terrible, but Markstrom has played better this season. He has 1 win in 7 games, so that's not great. A 2.88 goals against, a 901 save percentage. I mean, a 901 isn't bad, but the team, considering how bad the team is playing in front of him, I think that's a miracle that he's above a 900. And yeah, no shutouts. Dan Vladar has been awful, an 842 save percentage. He managed to win somehow, and that's impressive. So I'll take a look at Cap Friendly here. Let's see if we can try and fix the Flames up a little bit here and see what they can do, because they definitely have some boat anchor contracts here that I just can't see. Like, how are you going to get out of Huberdeau? 8 more years of this. Like $10.5 million. Like Jack Hughes is making less money. Like, do I even need to say more than that? I mean, Jack Hughes is making less money. He's got 18 points in 7 games or some shit. So yeah, we're not getting anywhere near that production out of Huberdeau. And like I said, the only way that you're probably going to start getting some form of production out of Huberdeau is if you get some form of sniper, a bona fide sniper next to him. But I can already kind of cancel out that argument because he had Toffoli last year and he still sucked. And Toffoli is going off. He scored 6 goals this week. Like, oh my God, that was just such a questionable trade. Like, getting rid of Toffoli. Like, good on New Jersey. What a fucking robbery. A brilliant trade for them. I like Sharangovich. It's just like, he's not a goal scorer. Like, I don't know why they wanted to get rid of the one goal scorer that you had on the team. And it just, yeah, it's definitely been doing more damage than I thought it was going to do. I thought they maybe would have been able to get those goals out of Coronado, Dubé, maybe some from Sharangovich as well, but nah, it's just not happening. So at the top of the cap here, we got, Huberdeau at 10.5. That's got to be untradeable. Even if they retained, which they never will, because you're not going to retain on a guy that you have 8 years on. You're going to be paying him to not play for like 16 years. They're just not going to do it. You got the 33-year-old Kadri, 6 more years at $7 million. The way that he's producing, that is also looking to be one of the worst contracts in the league right now. Andrew Mangiapane, he's overpaid at 5.8. I mean, but it's not the worst one. I don't even know if that one's tradable without some retention. Like 5.8 for maybe a 20 goal scorer. I don't know how many teams are going to be into that. You got Michael Backlund, who's basically made himself untradeable, becoming the new captain, so there probably isn't going to be an option right there. You got Blake Coleman, who, a lot of teams would love to have on their team, but for another 4 years at $4.9 million, I don't know about that. And again, you could retain on that, but are you going to want to retain for 4 years on that deal? I don't think so. And I think Calgary would want to keep a Blake Coleman. He kind of brings some fire, even though I know he hasn't really been all that good since he's been here. But yeah, and then you got the Lindholm one. This is it. This is the good tradable contract. You got Elias Lindholm, $4.85 million. He's 28. You have to trade him. You cannot keep this guy. There's no point. At this point, the way that the team is playing, there's no way you're turning it around. Trade him. You have to trade him. I don't care. Trade him for picks. Trade him for young prospects. Don't bring in a guy that you think, don't do player for player. Don't bring in another fucking 28-year-old center that, it's not going to work. You're going to end up downgrading, kind of like how Edmonton kept doing that with the Strome to blank, and they just kind of kept downgrading their way to just basically a depth forward, trading away a top 6 player they ended up with a depth guy. Terrible. So I don't want them to do that with Elias Lindholm. I don't know what is out there. Is there, I don't really want to have struggling player for struggling player. I think at this point, you got to go rebuild or retool with Calgary, because the way you're looking, it's just not, this team just isn't there. From what I'm seeing, it just isn't there. We haven't had any, I know Matthew Coronado is hurt, but he just, or is he hurt? Anyway, well, Peltier's hurt. I was really hoping for something out of Peltier. He got hurt, so that fucking sucks. And Coronado he's had a lot of chances. He's looked good. He's only 20 years old, though, so, how much can you really put on him to, drag this team out of mediocrity? So, yeah. So where are we at here? So Elias Lindholm, I think you have to trade him at this point. I would just completely put down the extension talks unless you're doing a sign and trade. Then okay, start talking to a team, find a buyer for Lindholm and see if you can get that contract worked out and then move him, because there's zero reasoning for Calgary to go ahead, sign him for 7 years or 8 years and give him $9.5-10 million. You're gonna have to give him 10 something, because you got Huberdeau over here, putting up 1 point every 7 games. So, Elias Lindholm's been doing better than that. So he's going to have that argument. It's not going to work. Elias Lindholm on this Flames team is a 65 point player. He's not the 80 some odd 40 goal scorer that he was 2 years ago. That Calgary team is gone. No more Gaudreau, no more Tkachuk. It's not happening. And then Sharangovich at 3.1. It's not a good contract, and you're probably not going to want to move him since you just brought him in. Dylan Dubé, it's a movable contract, but again, he's 25. I think Dubé is what he is, probably a 45, 50 point kind of guy. Maybe cracks 20 goals, something like that. Could be a player that can get moved, but you're not really going to get a whole lot out of him, or a lot of value out of that trade. You got Matthew Coronado. I'd keep that one. I'd keep him. Dewar, Hunt, AJ Greer, Ruzicka, I'd keep him as well. He's 24. AJ Greer, these guys, kind of depth 26, 27-year-old guys. So yeah. And then the defense, of course. So now you have another chip here in Noah Hannafin. He's got 1 year, 26 years old. So the Flames could absolutely get something out of Noah Hannafin, find a trade partner for him. Again, maybe talk to some teams, see if you can work out a sign and trade and get him out of here. I like Noah Hannafin, but get him out of here. You got to start getting some assets back because this team is going to be, they keep this up, they're going to be a lottery team. So I would trade Noah Hannafin as well, get him out of here, try and get some picks and maybe a young prospect. Do not, and I repeat, do not trade him for another roster player. Don't do it. Mackenzie Weegar, untradeable at this point, I would say. He's starting his 8-year deal. He's been playing fine. He's not like, I wouldn't say that is as much of a boat anchor. I think you could just kind of keep Weegar and just kind of keep him in the lineup. That's fine with me. Rasmus Andersson, he would have great value, but again, this is a guy, you're going to have to keep some players on the team, and Weegar and Andersson are the only 2 defensemen on this team that still have some term left. All the other defensemen 1 year. So we get to Christopher Tanev at $4.5 million. This guy could get traded as well. Now, I know he is kind of a fan favorite, a solid defensive defenseman. Now, I would love for the Toronto Maple Leafs to take a run at a Christopher Tanev. You get maybe 50% retained. You get yourself a nice, shiny Christopher Tanev for like 2.25. Oh, fuck yeah. I am so into that. So they could get something out of a Christopher Tanev deal. Nikita Zadorov, I mean, he's been great for Calgary, but I think now with the attitude change, if you're going into a rebuild, I don't think you're going to want to have a Zadorov around. So you can trade him as well at 3.75. Again, do a little bit of retention. Wouldn't mind the Leafs taking a run at a Nikita Zadorov, not going to lie. Jordan Osterley and Gilbert Denise, you can, whatever. They're both on 1 years. We're not really worried about that. We have Oliver Shillington. I mean, he's also on his last year of a deal as well, but he's 26 years old. He hasn't played in over a year. He didn't play at all last season. He's not playing this year. He hasn't, I have heard nothing about him coming back, and who would even, be interested in something like that. Like if Calgary were to trade him, you would get nothing. There would be no value to that player at this point. Nothing against him. It's just that he has not played. So you really have no idea what you're going to be getting. So there really can't be any value. So I would have to keep him, but he's an unrestricted free agent. So they're going to have to figure out what's a fair price to pay Oliver Shillington, a guy that hasn't played. Like, is 2.5 too much? Do you give him a league minimum 1 year and just see if he can get it back? Like, I don't fucking know. It could be a trade asset. You got Kevin Rooney. He's 30. He's on LTIR. I mean, there's not really much you can do with that. And then the goaltending. I mean, you got Jacob Markstrom. He's locked in for 3 more years. I mean, the way that he's playing right now, I mean, you might get lucky and you might catch like LA or what's the other team that doesn't have a goalie right now? LA, any of one of the teams that's, if there's a team out there really, really desperate, and some teams might take a swing at Markstrom, and that could be pretty interesting. He wants to stay. That's great and everything, but if you can move him, move him. Dan Vladar I don't know if he's movable at this point. He is an 840 goaltender at this time being. Maybe Boston would take him back, but there's no reason for Boston to take him back. He's at 2.2, 26 years old. Someone could take a flyer on him. Maybe a team like San Jose, someone in the dumpster that could maybe revamp him or something like that. Again, maybe LA would take a run at him for a cheap price, but you're not going to get a lot out of Dan Vladar. So to sum that up, the Calgary Flames are fucked, and they're in a lot of trouble. And if I were them, I would start selling off the farm, deal with Kadri. You're just going to have to ride that fucking contract out. Huberdeau, oh my God, you got to pray that this guy finds his hockey game somehow again, because yeesh. So I think that's a good enough ramble for right now with the Calgary Flames. Let me know what you think of the Flames. Are they seriously going to be a lottery team this year? Is there something you think that they can do within? I don't see it. That anything within this organization that's going to fix it. You can't fire Huska. It's not really his fault, but Yeah, it's not going good at all with the Calgary Flames, so we'll move on to another team that's going through some struggles, the Ottawa Senators. So we got the big old Shane Pinto suspension, 41 games. Holy shit, I thought I had a seizure or something, and I was seeing like numbers that weren't really there, but no, 41 games. I was like, wow, did you kill Gary Bettman or something? What'd you do? And apparently it was gambling. All around gambling. So to try and sum up this very long, convoluted story, it sounds like a buddy of his or something got onto one of his accounts. He did something that he wasn't supposed to do, and now he's paying the piper for it. So the NHL has come out. They're already doing like their fucking like little seminars and programs like, here, this, okay, don't bet on this. This is why you're an idiot. Don't do that. This is illegal. Don't do this. So they're doing that. They've done it before, but I guess Shane Pinto missed that meeting that day, and he fucked up. He fucked up big time, man. 41 games, you're going to have to eat that. Apparently the suspension is already underway. Like, it began at the beginning of the Ottawa Senators season. So the thing about that is it's already been under investigation for months. So this has been something that's been going on in the background for quite some time. And it finally came out. So behind the scenes, like the NHLPA, the Players Association, was trying to work out something with Shane Pinto. They investigated it. They found wrongdoings. And then they were trying to figure out sentencing. NHL wanted to make a example out of Pinto. And apparently it was talked about maybe him getting suspended for the whole entire season. NHLPA, I guess they were able to talk it down to half a season. Shane Pinto's eating it. He's not arguing with it. He's not trying to fight it. So he knows he fucked up. This has already been going on for months, right? So they've already probably talked through all of their options, and it seems like this is probably the best option that you got. Take the 41 game suspension and try and move on. I mean, it's terrible. I don't gamble. I have no appeal in gambling whatsoever. I do my fantasy hockey leagues, and that is it. I bought in 3 lottery tickets in my life, and that's it. I have no time for gambling. I don't want it. I have no time for it. So if you like it, that's fine. Just, I don't want it. And, if I was an NHL player, I definitely, after seeing something like this, I'd probably never bet, just in case. I do not. And like, if he did, like if Shane Pinto did give a friend of his or a family member access to an account and they made the bet, if this is on like one of his family members, that family member is getting buried alive. Like, you're dead to me. You're so fucking dead. Like, don't even. So sucks for Shane Pinto. Sucks for the Ottawa Senators fans, especially because, like, fuck, man. Like, what hasn't gone wrong with the Ottawa Senators in the last decade? I mean, everything that can go wrong is going wrong, and they just can't fucking have 1 week, Ottawa, without some freaking controversy or something going on. So a 41 game suspension for Shane Pinto. How you doing? How is that? I mean, are they going to be able to sign him when that is up? I mean, that's going to be a while until that one's over. But hey, at least I have some. Wait, hold on. More bad news for Ottawa, and then I'll give you a little bit of good news. Okay. So Thomas Chabot is going to be out, and he is going to be out for a little bit, which is not awesome. 4 to 6 weeks for Thomas Chabot, which is not ideal because that is your big main defenseman. Now, thankfully, Ottawa has gotten some other defensemen there now. You got Chychrun, who is there. He should be able to step in and help out with some of those minutes right there. And then, of course, you have Sanderson, who has been amazing. He has been amazing. 8 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points, putting up about 23 minutes per game. Wow, okay. Ottawa, well done. Well done. I mean, we were all bad-mouthing that extension, but it's looking like an absolute fucking bargain already. So, well done. I'm really glad to see that Jake Sanderson is off to a really good start for the season. That's excellent. And, of course, with Chabot being out, maybe he's going to take an even bigger role and step on this team. I mean, do you think, like, when all said, when everything is like Jake Sanderson becomes what he becomes. Is Sanderson going to be the main guy over Thomas Chabot, or is Chabot always going to be like the main defenseman in Ottawa? So if there's any Sens fans out there, what do you think? Do you think that Sanderson is going to be a better defenseman than Chabot? Is he already a better defenseman than Chabot? I wonder. I don't know. I haven't watched any Senators games yet, so I'm very curious to see where that ends up in the end of the season, if Chabot is going to get moved down or something. Because I think Chabot is a one of the best top 4 defensemen and maybe one of the lower end top 2. I think he's very, very good. I just think he definitely he's never had like a good partner. Like he had Zaitsev with him forever. And yeah, the Ottawa defensive core has been pretty weak, but it's getting quite strong now with Chychrun and Sanderson are rolling. So that's really good for the Ottawa Senators fans. So a little piece of decent news for you there. New Jersey. So they're off and rolling. They're doing pretty good. I mean, not as good as maybe everyone was expecting. Like, I think maybe some of the New Jersey Devils fans thought that maybe they would be on the level of Vegas right now. Maybe not lost a game yet, but no, they've definitely lost some games. But Jack Hughes, ladies and gentlemen, this kid has fucking arrived. So almost kind of similar to Joe Thornton, where like the first overall pick, we'll talk about Jumbo Joe a little bit later, don't you worry, I will never forget. But similar to Jumbo Joe, where he's the first overall pick, he's got all this hype around him. Oh, he's going to be amazing. He's a franchise player. He's this, he's that. And then he has his first couple of seasons and he's just kind of like, oh, okay. Like he shows flashes of it. And then it happens. This guy has absolutely exploded. He exploded last year, honestly, but he's doing even better now. He's got 18 points. 18 points in freaking 7 games or something like that. Let me just see if I can pull up his stats. 8 games, 18 points, 5 goals, and 13 assists. He's playing almost 22 minutes a game. Wow. I mean, what a fucking start for him. His running mate, Jesper Bratt, is loving it. And I don't know if Tyler Toffoli is on the same line as him, but goddamn, that Jack Hughes has finally arrived. And my question now is, it's a little bit less so now that McDavid is back, but I was wondering if McDavid was to miss a little bit more time. Let's say McDavid misses a month and a half this year or something like that. Is that a big enough opportunity for Jack Hughes to maybe steal an Art Ross from Connor McDavid? Now, I don't think that Jack Hughes is going to get into that maybe 135, 140 points. But I think this season, especially the fucking start that he's had, 120 points, I think that's in his future. So right now, he's just so very comparable to me to Joe Thornton. And I guess since we're talking so very much about Joe Thornton, let's go talk about Jumbo Joe for a little bit. He finally announces his retirement officially here. And holy crap, man, like, what can you say about Jumbo Joe? Like, goddamn. Comes into the league. I know he was underwhelming. And then that big trade in Boston, we're halfway through the year. He's like leading the league in points. He gets traded to San Jose, one of the worst trades ever for the Bruins. And yeah, he has a very, very strong run with San Jose. Lots of good runs to the Stanley Cup. Now, I know he never won the Stanley Cup, which is extremely unfortunate. Just add him to the list of other guys that never won the Stanley Cup. It's just that, I don't like to bring up that Tortorella quote, but, he's probably going to go down as one of the better players to have never done anything. So that's a John Tortorella quote right there. But, I mean, to say that is a little bit harsh. I mean, Joe Thornton did some shit in this league. Points-wise, I mean, fuck. We're 1,714 games played, 430 goals, 1,109 assists, 1,539 points with 1,200 PIMs, too. Just shy of 1,300 PIMs, 187 games in the playoffs with 134 points. Not bad, man. He's got a lot of international success. Let's go through his awards and stuff. So, NHL League All-Star Game 2002, 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9. In 2009, he was the captain. Won the Art Ross Trophy in 2006. Won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 2006. Named to the NHL First All-Star Team in 2000. 2006. What a fucking year 2006 was for Jumbo. Named to the NHL second All-Star team 2003-8-16. Won the Spangler Cup in 2004. Swiss Ice Hockey Championship in Davos 2005. I think that's all during like the lockout. Won the World Junior Championships gold medal, Team Canada 97. Won the World Cup of Hockey, Team Canada 2004. Won the 2010 Winter Olympics gold in Canada 2010. Won the World Cup of Hockey with Canada in 2016. Records. Only player in NHL history to win the Art Ross Trophy and the Hart while switching teams in his winning campaign. So that was the trade from Boston to San Jose, and I think that was his best season ever. He had like 130 some odd points or something insane. Sorry, 125 points. There it was. Let me see. Let me go look at that year. 2000 Boston. In 23 games, he had 33 points, and then in 58 games with the Sharks, he put up 92. Damn, he exploded with San Jose right out of the gate. So other records, highest point total recorded by a player while playing with two different teams in one season, 125. Most games played by the first overall selection in the NHL entry draft currently, 1,714. San Jose Sharks all-time leader in assists with 745. All-time leader in plus-minus with a plus 172. And San Jose Sharks all-time leader in points per game with a 1.01. So a point-a-game player his whole entire Sharks tenure, damn near 1,700, damn near a point a game his whole entire career, which spanned 24 NHL seasons. That is absolutely freaking insane, man. And I am so happy that Jumbo Joe made a little pit stop in Toronto. I have a Joe Thornton Toronto Maple Leafs jersey. I got it dirt cheap, don't worry. I just had to have it, man. I love Joe Thornton, and I love the fact that he played with the Leafs. No, it didn't go all that well, and he didn't, I wasn't expecting him to change the world, but fuck, man, we're robbed, man, of seeing that big old beard lifting up a Stanley Cup, and oh man, if there's two guys that didn't win cups that I wanted to win a cup more, and it's Jarome Iginla and fucking Joe Thornton, man. I rooted everywhere that Joe went. I was rooting for him there in the end, and I wanted it so bad. Spezza, I'll throw Spezza in there as well. I wanted Spezza, Joe Thornton, fucking Wayne Simmons, all those guys to be raising the cup in Toronto. I mean, it wasn't meant to be, didn't happen, but fucking hell of a career for Joe Thornton. I would say he's a Hall of Famer. I think he was a dominant forward in his prime, and the longevity of his career. He won a Hart. He won the Art Ross. He was damn near a point-a-game player his whole entire career. I think they'll have the argument the Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton. I think Joe Thornton was a better player than Marleau. I don't think there will be that much debate with Joe Thornton going into the Hall of Fame. I think he's a first ballot, might be pushing it, but I think he's a Hall of Famer for sure. So congratulations, Joe Thornton. I mean, I hope we get to see this guy, I don't know, on TV doing something. I don't know. I just love Joe Thornton. So that's my boy right there. They also there's some other really random retirements as well. Thomas Plekanec apparently wasn't retired, but now is. So, former Leaf legend Thomas Plekanec played 7 games, and we gave up the sun and the moon to get him, and he was terrible. Anyway, I'm not still salty about it at all. And Zach Kassian has retired as well, which is a little bit unfortunate. I know his career didn't quite hit the levels that he was maybe hoping for. I thought for a second there he found it with Edmonton. I was like, oh shit, is this guy going to be a running mate with Connor McDavid? To have that a tough power forward type guy with McDavid to kind of give him some more space, and it looked like it was going to work, and then it just didn't. And yeah, I guess that's sadly it for Zach Kassian. But congratulations on an NHL career. Not many people can say that they have done that. So congratulations. Speaking of congratulations, and not congratulations, because Florida gets Sam Bennett back and then immediately loses him again. So he returned in the Boston Bruins game last night, and he's back on day-to-day. So I didn't see what happened to him. All I know is that I'm very disappointed because I have him on my fantasy team, and I was like, oh yeah, I had to drop a player to get him back in the lineup. Boom, get him back in. He did nothing, and he got hurt. So I'm like, fuck, man, this is bullshit. And I don't even know if he's going back on long-term injured reserve or anything like that. So is this I already had, like, honestly, I was already, like, waving the red flag. I'm like, why are you having him come back in Boston? You shouldn't have him come back against Boston. Like, Boston's going to target him. They're going to just, that's how the Bruins play, man. They're going to go after a guy that might not be 100%. And it looks like maybe they did. I don't know. So Bennett is back out. But Ekblad and Montour have been practicing, so they're not ready to return yet, but they're getting there. And honestly, I think Florida's done okay without them. Hopefully they'll be a lot better once they get those two players back in. It's going to be interesting to see if Montour is going to be able to get back to where he was last season, because 70 plus points, that was never really something that he's shown to be able to do. But Florida, I find they just have a way with fucking defensemen. They can just get defensemen to put up some points, man. So we'll see. I mean, are they going to put Ekblad over Montour? I think Montour was doing a little bit better than Ekblad personally last year, but we'll see where that one goes. That will be interesting. Speaking of interesting, we have the Buffalo Sabres. So Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen gets his first NHL shutout, and he does it against the Colorado Avalanche. So we know that the Buffalo Sabres have not been off to the start that we were all kind of hoping for. They've been losing a lot, but they kind of been getting it together lately. So I know that loss against Montreal was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, they can't be losing to Montreal right now. They got a huge win over Ottawa, lost to New Jersey, but it was a close one, and then shutting out Colorado. So is this going to be the spark that sets Buffalo off on the right path for the rest of the season? I mean, shutting out one of the better teams in the league, you're getting a shutout for a young goaltender that could really use a spark, and Buffalo could really use a spark in net. I mean, Devin Levi hasn't been off to the best start. He's dealing with some injury problems right now. You got Comrie. I think he's dealing with some injury problems as well. He's been okay, but that's not the guy you were hoping to break out. It was going to be rather Devin Levi emerges or UPL comes out and he's going to be great. So it is only one game, and, you know, goalies can be unbeatable for one night and then they turn back into a pumpkin the next night. But, you know, it is pretty promising looking, at least for the Sabres, after a win like that. Big win. So we'll see if the Sabres are going to be able to get back on track. I know Thompson's been scoring some goals, so that's good. Really going to need that guy to get going. So since we're talking about getting some guys going, let's take a look at some of the colder starts for some of the players out there. Now, some of these players are new players to their organization, some are not, but I got to take a look at Blake Wheeler right here. So the Rangers are fucking rolling right now. They're doing really well. But in 9 games, Blake Wheeler has no points. Zeros. No goals, no assists, nada. -4. He's got some penalties, got 18 shots. He's playing about 12 minutes a night. So maybe the Jets made a really good decision here at getting rid of Blake Wheeler, moving off from him. Maybe they predicted that he was going to fall off of a cliff this season. Maybe Blake Wheeler is playing a completely different role with the Rangers, and he's not, not really meant to be putting up a lot of points. But 9 games with no points for Blake Wheeler, I did not see that one coming. I was predicting, we were all like, oh, that is a bargain. That is amazing. What a freaking job by the Rangers. Wow. And yeah, so far it really hasn't reaped any benefits. I mean, thankfully they're only paying him league minimum, but yeah, that is not the start I thought we were going to get out of him. We know that Kadri is off to a really slow start as well, but we got one here in Anaheim as well. Trevor Zegras, not off to the start I was hoping for personally. I drafted him in my fantasy league, and I have now dropped him. But in 9 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, but only a -1. So the -1, that's not too bad. I thought that would be substantially worse, but for Trevor Zegras, man, he got a contract extension. He's getting about 18 minutes on the ice. And yeah, he just has not been putting up a lot of points whatsoever. So hopefully now he's got the 1 goal there. I'm hoping that he can get it going a little bit. But yeah, that is definitely not the start I was hoping for out of him. Let's go take a look at... We got the okay, well, that's not too bad. He's actually stepped up quite a little bit here. But Eli Tolvanen in Seattle, off to a little bit of a slow start. I mean, in 10 games, he's only got the 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, -3. I mean, the way that he was going when he first showed up in Seattle last year, it really did look like he was a really, really smart pickup right there. And yeah, it just really hasn't gone too great. I mean, it's not bad. It's just the 1 goal in 10 games. You were kind of expecting a bit more goals to be scored from him. But yeah, Seattle is definitely struggling quite a lot at scoring some goals. And let's go take a look at a little rookie, a little young man. You might know him in Montreal, and that is Juraj Slafkovský. So the first overall pick a couple of years ago. Not off to the greatest start last year. I mean, he was off to a slow start, got injured, and now in 9 games this season, only the 1 assist. So now we're starting to get a little bit red flaggy with this player. I mean, I really question the idea of them bringing him in last season. I just don't think there was any real reason for them to do that, but they did it. And I mean, so far it has not been very good. I don't think he's not necessarily playing badly or anything. He's just not getting anything. He's really just kind of unnoticeable out there. Whenever I have watched Montreal games, I do not notice him out there very often. And it's at this point, if I was a Habs fan, I'd be a little bit nervous as to, like, did we fuck this dude up? Like, did we rush him? Or is he going to be a little bit of a late bloomer? Like, it's not every player just turns it on overnight. Some players, you know, it just clicks eventually. All of a sudden, bam, like, it's just going. Like, look at Kotkaniemi right now in Carolina. It's just all of a sudden he's a point-a-game player right now. So it's like, okay, like, where was it before? And just, I don't know, sometimes the wires are crossed and then they uncross and bam, you're just off and going. So yeah, not a great start to the career of Slafkovský. I was, kind of hoping that he would have a little bit more going this year, but I won't start waving the big red flag until the end of next season. I find year 3 is usually the year where you start to see something. If we see nothing out of Slafkovský next year as well, then uh-oh. Speaking of uh-oh, now it's not the biggest uh-oh just yet, but new guy, Tyler Bertuzzi with the Toronto Maple Leafs, 8 games, only the 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. He's a +3. 2 of those goals were on the power play, so there's that. Not necessarily, it's not a bad start, but it's not really the start I was hoping for out of Tyler Bertuzzi. I mean, in a perfect world, we were going to get that Boston Bruin Bertuzzi that we saw a little bit last year, but he's still kind of finding his way with the team. So I'm hoping it's looking good lately. He's been playing better, and hopefully that he is going to start putting in a little bit more goals. And speaking of putting in a little bit more goals, the Ottawa Senators would love to get a little bit more out of new guy, Dominik Kubalik. Oh man, this one makes me hurt a little bit. I like this player. I think he's underrated. But with the Ottawa Senators, in that DeBrincat trade, we've seen how good DeBrincat has been for the Detroit Red Wings, and one of the pieces in return was Kubalik in 8 games, 1 goal, and that's it. 1 point, 1 goal. -2. So yeah, he has not made the impact that I was kind of hoping he was going to be able to make, with the Ottawa Senators. I mean, it's a new team, but then you look at DeBrincat, they're in the Eastern Conference, so like I wouldn't expect that big of a change or for that long of an adjustment period for him to get going over there. But yeah, not exactly what you were hoping for out of that. Let's take a look at, I was going to say Pavel Zacha, but he's actually doing pretty okay. In 9 games, he's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. So that's not that bad. We check on this guy. Oopsie. There we go. I mean, that's okay. I was going to say Evander Kane, but after he has been stepping up a little bit over the last couple games, so he's actually been okay. Okay, here we go. Here's one. He's been okay, but not as good. Okay, so Buffalo Sabres, you got Alex Tuch. 9 games, he's only got the 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. Not bad, but not the Alex Tuch that we saw last year, the Alex Tuch that came over from Vegas and just looked like the perfect fit, and he wants to be there. And me personally, I really, really like Alex Tuch. I think he's an awesome, really awesome, kind of an underrated player. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, I don't think he'll be able to do what he did last year. And I was like, oh, but I think he's really quite good. But it is what it is. I mean, yeah. We got Anders Lee and the New York Islanders. That's 8 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, -1. Yeah, not really the production you want out of one of your better, more consistent goal scorers over the last little bit. Now, Anders Lee is getting up there in age now, so goals might be a little bit harder for him to come by. I know he has been around it. Like, I've seen a couple Islanders games, and he's been around the net. He's in front battling. Like, he's there. It's just not going in for him like right now, so that's unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, we got Anton Lundell with the Florida Panthers. Now, I was kind of hoping for this young man to break out a little bit more this season, but in 8 games, 0 goals and only the 2 assists, 2 points. +1, hoping for a little bit more out of that player, especially after the big run that they had. Maybe he heats up in a little bit. Maybe he's still a little bit sore from the long playoff run last year, but yeah, not really what I imagine some of the Florida fans are expecting or hoping for out of him, but apparently he is still quite good defensively, so he has that going for him. And then there's Nicholas Backstrom with the Washington Capitals. I mean, I could talk about Ovechkin as well, who is definitely not off to your typical Ovechkin style of season, but I mean, can you give the guy a freaking break? He's like 37, 38 years old, like goddamn. But Nicholas Backstrom, I mean, 8 games, no goals, 1 assist, 1 point, -3. Yeah. I mean, which is really unfortunate because, I've always loved Backstrom. I think he's an awesome, again, kind of underrated player because he's kind of over in the shadow of Ovechkin, but he's the guy that's always been dishing him the puck. And sadly, this is the one where he had the hip surgery, and it just looks like he may not be able to get back to the same way that he was, which it happens, man. It absolutely happens. It's just really unfortunate. I wasn't necessarily expecting him to bounce back and have a really good season or anything like that, but you would want a little bit more. Okay, I was going to talk about Sergachev, but I mean, in 9 games, 5 assists, it's not bad. Again, that's not bad. The -7 isn't the best thing you would like to see, and then no goals. So last season, it kind of looked like Hedman and Sergachev kind of flipped roles. Like, Hedman had a pretty rough season last year, especially for Hedman standards. That was definitely not a Hedman season. And then Sergachev just exploded last year. He was excellent, and it looked like they were going to continue on. And now it's like Hedman's putting up more points this year, and Sergachev is struggling a little bit. But it does look like he is starting to get his game back on track. We'll go check on. Oh my god, yeah, I put in Shen, and there's a lot of Shens. Anyway, Braden Shen with the St. Louis Blues, 7 games, only the 1 assist and a -4. So not a very encouraging start for Braden Shen over there. I was kind of rooting and hoping for St. Louis to become a playoff team again, maybe with some of those moves that they made and the pickups of Kapanen and Verona. I thought were pretty decent. Binnington's been really good, but yeah, not getting the production that you would want out of some of your top 6. I know that Thomas and Kyrou have also been struggling a little bit. Then we got the Dallas Stars, who are off to a nice start to their season, but Jason Robertson maybe not off to the start he was hoping for. Now he has 6 points in 7 games, which is fine, but only the 1 goal for Jason Robertson, who scored over 100 points last season, damn near got to 50 goals, so not necessarily what I would imagine the Dallas Star fans were hoping for out of him. Now, Rupe Hintz was hurt, and he's back in the lineup now. That is going to definitely help with the production out of him. Ooh, Arizona Coyotes. I feel like I haven't talked about Arizona that much this year. I don't think they've really been up to all that much, eh? It's been a really quiet start to the season for them. They've kind of been about 500. There's a lot of teams that are in and around 500 right now, win one, lose one. But Barrett Hayton, man, I'm very, very shocked that he has 0 points in 8 games, because last year he was on a line with Schmaltz and Keller, and that line was literally one of the best lines in hockey last year for a little bit. And Schmaltz and Keller are off to good starts, but Barrett Hayton, 0 points in 8 games. I mean, that is alarming. Really, really surprised with that one. He's only a -2, which, it could be a lot worse considering you have no points, but really going to want Barrett Hayton to get going there for the Arizona Coyotes. That would be fantastic. We got one here for 2 more left. We got Bowen Byram in Colorado. 8 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. He is a +2. What's his ice time like right now? 18, just about 19 minutes of ice time. So, 2 points isn't horrible for a defenseman, but the type of defenseman that he is, he's a really good goal scorer. Like I could see him hitting 20 goals like pretty regularly, I would think. And he hasn't really necessarily broken out for a whole bunch of points yet in his career. Let me just take a look at was Bowen Byram. He had in 42 games last year, he had 24 points, which is pretty damn good, and he had 10 goals in those 42 games. So if you doubled that, you'd look at like 20 goals, 28 assists, something like that, maybe 44 points, but not off to that kind of start just yet. But it's still really early. I think more importantly is he's going to want to stay healthy. That's probably more or less the most important thing for him right now. And we'll finish it off with the Winnipeg Jets. Nikolai Ehlers in 9 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. So again, that's not bad. It's just not what you would want out of Nikolai Ehlers, especially now. There might be a little bit more ice time for him available without Wheeler there. I know he's been dealing with some injuries, and yeah, it might be a little bit of a slow start for him. I can see him picking that back up and hopefully getting, was he a point a game guy before? Let's take a look at the career stats of Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, no, I think at best he was a 60-ish point guy. If he can get back up to there, I think more or less you're going to want, it'd be really great if you could get like a 25-goal season out of him this year. He has never hit 30 goals, but he's been close. The way that it has started this year, it's going to be tough for him to hit 30 goals or anything like that. But again, similar to Byram, you're just going to want him to stay healthy. That would be ideal. Now, I was going to end the show, but I just realized that I hadn't really talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs yet this episode. So they're playing the Los Angeles Kings, I believe, tonight. And I don't know, like right now, they're just kind of rolling, right? I didn't get to see a lot of the Dallas Stars game. I just, got to work, so you don't get I don't get to watch every single game. The Predators game, it was definitely disappointing, but that was fucking UC Saros stealing the game right there. Now, me personally, I find that the Leafs get goalied a lot. I feel like this is something that is a regular occurrence. And I feel like they have a problem with like adjusting their game when they do happen to run into a hot goaltender. When you run into a hot goaltender, you're not going to beat him from distance. You're going to have to get some like ugly, greasy, disgusting goals. Get in front of the net, get some screens, get shots from the point, get some dirty rebounds, something like that. Now, I don't know. That's something that I'll have to keep an eye on and see if that is something that they're, if they are actually like, still shooting a lot from the outside, or if they are or are not developing or changing their game on the fly. I know that's kind of always been a problem, and I still see a lot of the same problems with this team that I've seen for years and years now, mostly related to defensive problems and maybe some deficiencies in the bottom 6, maybe not getting as much depth scoring out of some of those players right there, but we'll take a look. We'll take a look at, we know the big boys are rolling right now. Like Willie, 12 points in 8 games. You got Johnny. I mean, can we give some love to John Tavares, ladies and gentlemen? I fucking love John Tavares. 11 points in 8 games. Let's absolutely go. The guy is amazing. Matthews, 10 points. Marner is probably the slowest one. In 8 games, he's only got 7 points, but kind of looks like he's starting to get going. You definitely doesn't look like Mitchie Marner out there right now. He looks a little tight, a little tense. He's got to loosen up. That's when Marner plays the best, when he's having fun and shit like that. Morgan Riley off to a great start. Klingberg is putting up points. And let's go down here to the bottom. So we know that Ryan Reeves is going to be down there at the bottom. Fraser Minten got set back down, which, I mean, we know that was going to happen. Pontus Hoberg is getting into some games now, which is nice. I like that player. William Lagesson got into a game on defense, which, it's okay. Liljegren, I'm very, very nervous with him. TJ Brody doesn't look quite right this season. Maybe some people were right about the buying out of TJ Brody. I'm not saying he's playing bad. It's just like something looks off with TJ Brody this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Giordano's been my boy right now. This dude. Oh, I love Giordano so much. He's so fucking awesome. Matthew Nyes is starting to get it going too. So, I mean, the team is rolling. Ilya Samsonov is still... Yeesh, pretty bad, man. He's got an .841 save percentage and a .398 goals against. He is getting wins, so is he going to be like our Martin Jones this year, where he's just a fucking nightmare to watch play, but he gets the wins? But then there's Joseph freaking Woll, baby, the Wall of Fame. .961 save percentage, a .133 goals against average. So I think it is safe to say at this moment in time, Joseph Woll is the bona fide starter of your Toronto Maple Leafs. But that can change next week. That can change in the game tonight. What if Joseph Woll lets in 7 tonight? And then, I don't know, Samsonov gets a shutout and then the roles are reversed. Goalies are too random and wacky, but I can't say that I saw a .961 save percentage there for Joseph Woll, but fuck, am I ever happy that it is there. And he's playing fantastically, man. He looks like he is fitting in really well with the team as well. In the Nashville game, I saw him on the bench. He's laughing, smiling, having a good time. So that's a very encouraging. Like, I'm not saying that Samsonov is like a crusty old fuck or anything, but he definitely seems a little like a goaltender, like maybe a little bit more introverted, a little more, in there. And Mrazek, I never liked the body language and just everything about, I don't know, the aura of Mrazek when he was a Leaf. It just felt very bad, and he would always stare down his players and stuff like that. It's just not a good look, but I do not see that out of Joseph Woll, man. He passes the eye test in just about every single way. Looks nice, calm, and collected in the net. He looks happy and having fun when he's off the ice. And yeah, man, very, very encouraging start for Joseph Woll. It's about fucking time the Leafs had a goaltender prospect come through and be decent, because they've had so fucking many of them, and it just so happens every time we give one of them away, that's the one that becomes good, Tuukka. But Joseph Woll looking good so far. Let's hope that he can keep this up. Is a .961 save percentage achievable to maintain that for the rest of the season? I doubt it, but if he does, that's going to be a Vezina, and it could be a fucking Stanley Cup. So we'll see where that goes. We'll keep an eye on that goaltending situation. I mean, it's no contest right now. One guy's got a .961, the other guy's got an .841. So I don't know what to say. I mean, Samsonov's got to get it going. I do not like the way that he plays. He's not passing my eye test personally. He looks very all over the place. He does not look comfy at all. So he's got to figure that one out. Hopefully he does really soon. And yes, so thank you everybody so much for listening. You guys are awesome. If you want to listen to these or watch these on YouTube, you may do that at Gamer GX Videos. The link is down there in the description. If you want to send in questions, comments, concerns to the podcast related to hockey, video games, or wrestling, be my guest. Send in your questions. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. There's an email address as well. And of course, there is a Twitter page where I put up announcements and kind of plans, schedules, and stuff like that. And yeah, so if you want to follow along with that, that would be great. If you want to review this podcast, I'd really, really appreciate that and all that great stuff. Go check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, and all that great stuff. And we will be back again soon with some more GX Plus cast. Go Leafs, go. You better whoop the shit out of those Kings.